I often receive messages from people, both young and adults, many young people, but actually I assure you that you are much older in age, and maybe there is also a reason, in my opinion, given by experience or by understanding what really matters in life and so on. But I was saying, I receive messages, right, like, how do I escape to the countryside? Or how do I live from agriculture? Also, as me and Valentina, who is my wife, we started from zero and we know well what the obstacles are at the beginning, right? There are arrears or insecurities, there are a lot of obstacles at the beginning and many questions that don't find answers, especially when no one helps you concretely or wants to help you concretely. And I assure you that the world of agriculture for these is really an horrible thing, and it is also what gave the start in our story to create Rendita Agricola. But anyway, living from agriculture is all nice on paper, but how do you do it? Changing life with agriculture is a bit of a dream in the drawer for many people, but starting without a method risks being dangerous, both for those who are beginners and also for those who think they already know something about agriculture. Why? Because these latter do not consider all the pieces of the puzzle. They are used to thinking about agriculture in a way that no longer exists. So in today's video we try to bring some light, so if you want to change your life with agriculture, I want to explain to you what are the 3 factors that you absolutely cannot not know, because ignoring them can really make everything much more difficult than expected. So please stay with me until the end to really understand what must be your starting points to truly begin to live from agriculture. If by any chance you still don't know me, I am Alessandro De Luca, and together with my wife Valentina we are the founders of Rendita Agricola. Rendita Agricola is a business, is a company now active for years that teaches you how to start and manage a concrete and sustainable agricultural project, even if you start from zero, working on all the aspects that revolve around the creation and management of an agricultural project nowadays. Every day we find ourselves and deal, of course, with dozens of people who dream big, who aim to work the land with a personal project, especially independent. And this is why I feel to recommend you these 3 factors. The first essential factor that you must know when you start thinking about your project is to understand the potential of agriculture, which means getting out of the old model that no longer works. Agriculture is not only big lands, big machinery, hectares, working hours, bureaucracy. Guys, girls, agriculture is not this stuff. It is not producing a lot and having the price imposed by the market that tells me that wheat, that tomatoes costs and is worth that price, and then I sell it at that price to the consortium, the association that collects it from me, or to someone who collects it from me, who then gives it to someone who collects it from him, who then gives it to someone who collects it from him, and who then sells it to the consumer at the price 20 times higher than what they paid you, the producer. Do you realize that this is not a model that works, or have they completely messed up your brain so much that you don't even realize it and you feel happy doing some protest in the square, things like that, or some angry reel thinking that you will solve things in this way? You have to solve things by understanding that that type of agriculture is bullshit. Excuse the term, but actually I am also very calm when I talk about certain topics, because how I would be internally, I would make myself heard even more, let's say like that. So, but I always want to be very zen, and I work on being very zen. So that said, you must, guys and girls, if you want to live from agriculture or do something in this sector, you need to wake up. I speak in a very concrete and direct and clear way because this is how messages are received and understood. Also because sometimes I don't understand how I say A and someone gets angry because I said B, but I didn't say B. So anyway, this is unfortunately a bit of the ignorance that circulates in the world of social media. But for those of you who are attentive and who really want to do something, trust me, leave the old model that is known of agriculture. Because if you approach this sector with the model of, okay, how much does 1 hectare of this crop give me in terms of yield, in economic terms, you are not understanding anything about how to create an agricultural activity and how to become independent thanks to agriculture, because this model doesn't work anymore. Why? Because you are focusing on a model of agriculture, this one of I grow a lot, I produce a lot, I must have the maximum yield. This is the price of the product, this is therefore what is sold, these are the numbers, this is how my agricultural business works. It is not like this, and it has not been like this for a very long time, but clearly the macro agri-food system absolutely needs producer and farmers who do not want to get out of this system. But it is fine if they stay there complaining a bit here and there. We let them survive somehow because farmers are financed with grants, subsidies, etc., etc. The more land you have, the more cap you take, and so on. And so even if then the price of the product does not break even with what you get from the other parts, the farmer stays standing, survives, lives, mortgages left and right, etc., etc., etc. The family goes on and somehow we are fine. Hey guys, but it does not work. It works only if you have a lot of land. If you want to be farmers, let's say old style, it is good. I have nothing against it. I have absolutely nothing against it. Everyone does what they want, of course, but it is not a model that allows you to build independence. This is what you have to know. It is a model where basically instead of working in an office for a clear boss and everything, how your work works, you work on the land for a boss that is the state, that gives you some funding to go on and produce what the state needs, and then make the real profit that would be on that agricultural product. Explain in a very simple and not technical way, but guys, it is in front of everyone's eyes. I mean, whoever still does not realize this means that you don't know agriculture at all. And it is fine, no problem. I am here to explain certain things, otherwise I would talk about something else. You need to wake up and get out of this model. There is not only that way of doing agriculture. We will go deeper into these concepts. I will explain more things to you on other videos, of course. But yes, you really need to understand this first factor. So coming back to us, I was saying the first fundamental piece is to understand that this model no longer works. The model to do agriculture that is truly sustainable 360 degrees today is to understand that there are many different potentials and options in agriculture, and that everything starts from seeing and visualizing what we want to build with our agricultural activity, with the goals maybe of building independence, which I would say is a pretty important thing nowadays. And I don't know if you have realized what world we live in, but I think so. And then say, okay, what are the various activities, the various things that I have to do to realize this vision, and where not only agricultural aspects come into play, then we talk about it. And then go to realize all these step by step with a tested model that builds a reality as multifunctional as possible. It does not mean that agricultural realities must have 20 different crops or activities, but surely if today you want to start an activity saying, I do agriculture producing only one thing, hey guys, this has a very big limit. So either you become very good and very specific in what you do, there is a way, but it is a more difficult way. Then we will also talk about this in other videos. So going back into the first factor, you must understand that the old model, that one we talked about, no longer exists. It absolutely does not work. Remove it from your head, but agriculture offers a huge amount of potentials that are not shown to us and that are not talked about enough in depth. Agriculture offers a huge amount of possibilities. Everything has difficulty. It's very important to understand this. I mean, what do you think? You want to open a bakery? There are no difficulties in opening a bakery. There is also a lot of investment to do, for example, or you want to be a hairdresser or pizza maker or builder. Guys, it's not like there are no difficulties in doing these jobs. So what are we talking about? It makes no sense to focus on all the crops have difficulties or something like that. You don't have to focus on problems only. So you must start from what you really want to create. So do you like more doing an activity like microgreens because you do them inside the house or anyway in a closed space? Or do you prefer vegetables because you prefer to stay outside? Or do you want animals because you prefer animals? Or no, animals are too big of a commitment for you, then you prefer mushrooms, for example, because maybe you like something a bit more technical or technological, let's say, etc. Plenty of options that you can take. So you must start from here. Start from what you really want to create based on what you like to do. Very, very important. This completely changed the approach, if you think about it, to agriculture, because if before it was what is the activity, the crop that makes the most money, let's go, we invest in that and we do that. This was before. So if before they put it in your head as an investment thing, strange stuff like that, or big hectares, instead starting from understanding that agriculture gives you many different potentials, different options, and that you must start from what you like and build a vision from that, completely changed the approach to agriculture, because nowadays we must relearn agriculture. Even agriculture evolves. I remember I started using the computer when I was very little. Okay, and my father was very good with computers. He taught me a lot of things. He was very good. He worked in an office all the time. So he used computers. They were the first computers, basically. And if I give my father a computer today, my father doesn't even know where the X to close the window is, because technology evolves at crazy speed. And so someone who maybe was very good at that time, if he does not follow the evolution, maybe knows the basic but cannot use a 2,000, 3,000 euro Macintosh, no? Apple computer. So agriculture is the same thing. Agriculture evolves. Today there is the possibility to grow in a garage, and that garage has value like having agricultural land. And many associations still don't understand this. We are really hard, like reinforced concrete. Sometimes agriculture has evolved. Nobody understands it because everyone is hard-headed, like we say in Tuscany, like a piece of wood. So because they don't study, they don't listen, they don't understand, they have their beliefs, and you cannot remove them from their head even if you hit them. Obviously, I wouldn't do that, but to make you understand this is a huge problem. If you understand this first factor, then you can say, okay, I can live from agriculture. If you don't understand this first factor yet, there is still a lot to study. The second factor is more related to organization. So let's say that once we have understood the first factor, they are not necessarily in order, but there is another very important thing that you must learn to live from agriculture, and it is understanding how to manage your time. Everyone who starts this kind of journey makes mistakes right here. Many think that changing life means quitting everything and starting immediately full power. I mean, we are surrounded by all these stories, the one who went to live in a house, left everything, left the job, etc., and lives without electricity, etc., etc., as if this was something that everyone can really do. Sometimes there are novels behind these stories. I mean, I also like those stories. I watch them because they are cool and attractive, but I know how to distinguish what is doable and what is not doable, what is true and what is not true, what is possible and what is not possible, what is sustainable in long term and what is not. Because everyone can say, I left everything and I did that. Yes, but for how long does that actually last? So I know how to distinguish certain things. People who don't do my job maybe don't know how to distinguish. So they believe wrong things, like how media presents them. So you must be very careful. Changing life does not necessarily mean quitting everything immediately. It is not necessarily the right choice. Then there are important choices to make, and it is very important to understand that some things from now on you must start saying no, enough, I don't do this anymore, I don't accept this anymore, and I move to something else. I don't give energy to this anymore, and I give it to something else. Good, but it can also be done step by step. Also, us, me and Valentina, for our project, at the time it was a project, today it is a consolidated reality of Rendita Agricola, we made huge sacrifices. We had to move because we needed to focus, to concentrate, to work hard, to do something that normal people couldn't do. Guys, I assure you that what we did is something extremely difficult. Today we have an English speaking part, like you know, there are 50 people working with us in Italy and English speaking branch. It is not a mess because it is well managed, luckily, but it is a mess in terms of things to do, to organize, to think, to plan. There's a lot of stuff to do. And so we had to make important sacrifices, but we got there over time, also there making important choices, but always step by step. Also, when we started with the farm, I worked in a bar and I started my agricultural activity while working full-time in a bar. So you can also start while working full-time, but planning your agricultural activities carefully. Let's make an example. You started your agricultural activity with a small garden and a mini greenhouse to make seedlings and some edible flowers, for example. You have a small space dedicated, right? And not much time available. So in this case, maybe you know that you can dedicate mornings before work, weekends, and also some evenings. Whatever time you have available, I am making a general example, of course. What you have to do is create a clear routine with daily and weekly goals connected to the vision, to your big goal we talked about in the first factor, remember? Without overloading yourself to exhaustion. So, few goals, I will repeat this to you in this video, few goals, few key initiatives of quality done well and completed, tracking everything. This is really important. At the same time, you must set small sales goals that you must pursue at all costs if you want to create an agricultural business, if you want to sell your product. Everything else, guys, are excuses. Anything that does not bring you to reach your goal are excuses. My son called me, my relative called me, my mom, my dad, my friend, I had to do this and that, and then you know life. No, guys. No. Also because I know that you waste 20 minutes, half an hour talking with someone you don't even like, but you still waste time talking. Leave it. What do you need it for? One of the first sacrifices we made with Valentina, unfortunately there were also some friends we would have liked to talk more with, but there were also people who only made us waste time. Enough. You cannot go to the bar to drink beer every evening to meet the same people because if I don't go, who knows what they think? Who cares what they think? Let's recover time where we can recover completely useless things, and this is just to give examples, but trust me, I tell you this as someone who achieved many goals starting from a small village of 200 people poor. Because I grew up in a poor family, okay? I have no problem saying it, lowest level possible, father employee, mother housewife, and 2 children, me and my brother, to raise. So it's not like I was born somewhere with incredible luck. I just always told myself that responsibility is mine for any result. I set goals and I pursue them until I reach them. There is no magic secret. Very important thing that will also be a very important value that I will teach my children. These things, I'm telling you, completely change your life. Okay? Another important advice, just because we talk about agriculture, does not mean that we live in the Paleolithic. Okay? I mean, there are 1,000 tools that you can organize to manage your work in the best way. Do not get lost in these tools. Some of you more technical nerds can use most of them and risk getting lost in these tools. Don't do it, but use some tools. That's the point. Planners, paper, digital, to mark activities, there are Excel apps for numbers, whatever you want. There are a lot. With these tools, you can do weekly and monthly checks, so you discover what works and what to improve. I tell you in a very simple way what I used to manage, for example, the agricultural activity, okay? Anyway, my activities in general, but let's leave aside that today inside the company we use particular tools, but they cost a lot of money, but they are not useful for you, they are used to manage many people. In my case, so what can be useful for you? A structure made with Google Calendar, for example. You cannot see people who forget appointments. Come on, in 2026, you still forget appointments, you don't write them down. If you are there forgetting appointments, things, that really annoys me. Anyway, Google Calendar, where you write things or a written agenda, it's very simple. Here I write what I have to do. There are also the days. Anyway, I use Google Calendar, where I put the appointments that I fixed. If it is not in my Google Calendar or written as an appointment, it means I don't have that appointment, period. Then a very simple Word document, very simple, where I write exactly what are the things to do divided by activity, okay? So what does it mean? I have a truffle field, okay, and I write truffle field, perfect. Month of January, do this. Month of February, do this. Month of March, do this. Then saffron field, I have a saffron field. January, do this, etc. What I need to do this, what I have to do this, okay? Accounting, I have to do these, and these for bureaucracy. On sales level, I have to do these, and these, perfect. Where there are my goals, what needs to be done in the months to reach those goals, very simple. So you have a long-term goals, and I have to do these, and these in this month to go forward to that goal, all right? And then an extremely organized Excel file where it is written what comes in and what goes out in terms of number. Really simple. I mean, it's not that complicated. It comes to my mind about a month ago with a girl who made an exceptional organization. She used Notion. It is an app, okay? I don't use it. I don't understand anything about it, but I don't even want to lose time on it. But I repeat, I have a completely different organization, but done well. She feels great, fantastic. She has everything written there wonderfully about the organization of her company, what she has to do, not to do. Perfect. Use tools that helps you. Manage your time, simple, quality. When you find what works, use it for a long time, okay? And don't go crazy thinking that then the tool will make the difference. The tool makes the difference when you don't use anything. You forget appointments, you don't know your company numbers, you don't track anything, you don't monitor, you don't even know what you have to do tomorrow properly. Okay, tools are important for that, but they are not making difference, right? I remember everything in my head because we are all incredible genius. It doesn't work. The tool makes the difference between when you don't use anything, when you start using simple tools that keep track of what you have to do. And also remember that you must often start with a small portion of land, a small test of the activity you want to do, and test your ability, your skill to manage time and resources, and then be able to plan and design much better all the timing using the tools I told you. When the micro project starts working, then you can plan a gradual expansion. But be careful, everything is nice, but if you do this without a clear method, meaning I am following a method, in agriculture, when we teach it in our training programs, we teach the BSC method. We give you our method to do things, a method that allows you to keep everything organized that happens. Mindset side that is needed to carry on your activities, biological side, so everything that happens operational level on the soil in our activity, and the independent side, which can be entrepreneurial in case you want to create an agricultural business, so everything that concerns sales, numbers, bureaucracy, etc. So what an entrepreneur must deal with, even in a small and simple way, depending on how big he wants to create this company. For me, the important thing is to be independent more than having big companies. If you do something without a method and you don't track what happens, I would do this, and this. Did I do it or not? If I didn't do it, why didn't I do it? If I didn't do it just because I want to find excuses, that's it. I must realize it. So if you do things without a method and without tracking, then it's useless. You are not building experience like those who say, I have been doing this for 40 years, I have experience. It depends. If you did it with a method, if you tracked, if you measured, if you saw what happens, otherwise it means nothing. So if you don't monitor, if you don't follow a method, nothing is useful. Like those who say, I start, I don't know, with vegetables, I try to sell, let's see if it works, and then I grow. It is correct from a theoretical point of view, but if you try to sell without even understanding what it means to make even a simple marketing strategy, what kind of test are you doing? There is no test. Very important to understand this. Finally, the last very important factor that you must remember to have success with agriculture is education. And here many people fail, because if you think you can solve your problems by planting 2 plants without understanding anything about those plants or thinking that you know, you are completely wrong. Starting without knowing what to do is very expensive, and not only in terms of time and money, because your project, and I have seen many fail in a moment, fail because they don't understand that they must know 4 extremely fundamental points that in our method are then expanded into the areas of mindset, biology, and independence, like I said, and that are then applied working on 6 areas, which are vision, financial management, marketing, sales, KPI, which are tracking, and cultivation, but summarized into 4 points that you must know exactly to be able to live from agriculture, and therefore this is a 3rd fundamental factor. These are them. How to manage mindset, so fear, anxiety, problems with this one, that one, the one who tells you to give up, the partner who does not agree with you, and this and that, etc. All this stuff, let's say negative, but at the same time also how to manage success. So managed mindset is the first thing to do. We managed to plant this and get the product, we managed to make the first sale, we managed to open social channel and they work, we managed to do this and that, good. How do you manage success? Yes, because managing success is a fundamental part to build an independent reality, to build the life that we want to live. I will not go into detail, but briefly the point is that if you don't know how to manage small success, you will not know how to manage big success. And if you don't know how to manage success, you go backwards, and if you don't know how to enjoy your success, you accumulate too much frustration. It is a very interesting game, right? So mindset is the first thing. Second thing, agricultural techniques. So clearly you must understand that techniques exist. For example, we are in partnership with Charles Dowding. Charles Dowding is an institution in the UK world, okay, who applies a technique called no-dig, which we then adapted a bit to applying it in Italy with the Italian climate, etc. We also talked about this with him, and nobody, I mean, if I tell you, do you know the no-dig technique, the technique of not working the soil, then we use this technique to create our eternal garden system, so a garden that can go on forever without having to redo it every year and so on. So how many of you actually knows this technique? How many really understand the advantages and disadvantages of this technique? How many know that there are different ways to do something in agriculture? How many really understand the possibilities we have? Because a lot of people think to know this thing because they watch a video or they read a blog. It's not true. How many of you before Rendita Agricola talked about it? Or maybe you still haven't seen it, some of you haven't seen it. How many think that with 10 square meters of mushrooms you can make 200 euros per month? The right cultivation done in the right way can allow you things that many people don't even understand or realize. So knowing agricultural techniques for real, how agriculture really works, is fundamental. 3. Economic management. So not only making a business plan like many do at the beginning, because without a business plan they don't do anything. They haven't even understood that it means nothing. I mean, putting numbers written somewhere without having the knowledge to do it properly will not help you at all. There are no business plans that fail on paper. I have never seen a business plan that fails on paper because it is useless. Economic management is understanding the project makes sense, everything is fine, after some analysis you can do or not do. But guys, if you want to grow vegetable, it is useless to ask if it makes money or not. Selling vegetables is done with the right agricultural technique, not with a hectare of, I don't know, radicchio or zucchini to sell everything to an association. If you make a garden with the right techniques, there will be a market of people who want to eat tomatoes or not. There is no need to do market analysis on certain things. You just need to use the correct strategies. So economic management is about understanding how to manage the money that comes in. So when you receive £100, what should I do with that money to grow my activity? Because if you don't start managing from the first pound or euro or dollars, after 2 years you will say, I made money, but where did they go? I told you to manage it. This is why it's really important. Otherwise you can't take care of that. Number 4, how the market works. So how sales work, how to sell to a restaurant, how to sell to a private client, how to get paid the right price, how do you find clients, where do you find them, what do you say, what do you communicate. Okay? These things, I assure you, are much simpler than you think, but you must learn them. These are all things that allow you to reduce risk, accelerate results, and avoid problems. It's not only about reading books or watching videos. Practical education is key, especially guided by someone with experience. It teaches you to avoid mistakes, understand which crops work and how to plan production, also based on personality, for example. Some people succeed with certain activities, others with different ones. You must know yourself. You cannot think to build this kind of activity without knowing these fundamentals. So to summarize the 3 fundamental factors to change your life with agriculture: get out of the old mindset, time management and planning, and knowledge and education. Following these principles, you can turn the agricultural dream into a real and sustainable project, no matter your situation. If you want to go deeper, check the description for tools, techniques, and support. We have also a lot of video and a link that can help you. And yes, it's all for today. I really enjoy to do these videos, so I hope you find it useful for you. And remember this: changing life is possible, but you must start prepared. With method and knowledge, you can turn the agricultural dream into reality. So, guys, girls, if you want to leave a comment, if you have questions, doubts, anything, write below and we will answer. See you in the next video.